I am the place where humanity and industry collide, and energy and optimism abound. I am South Africa. I am the biggest economy in Africa, and I encourage innovation and make it easy to do business and get things done. My spirit is restless and my resolve is clear, determined to break through the stereotypes and conquer the forces of doubt. I am South Africa, and I am inspiring new ways.
Three gifted South African brothers hitting the world stage. The Bala Brothers joined me. Welcome to the Mimi Geerges Show.
The song we're going to sing is called Something Inside So Strong, dedicated to someone who really lived by this, Mr. Nelson Mandela.
The higher you build your barriers, the taller I become. The further you take my rights away, the faster I will run. Deny my place, just run away. That's mine, my light will shine so brightly it will blind you, because there's something inside so strong. I know that I can make it, though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone, oh no. Something inside so strong, oh, something inside so strong, oh, something inside so strong.
Growing up, they didn't have much, dirt floors and no electricity, but they had music and plenty of talent. As Black South Africans during Apartheid, they didn't have access to elite music schools. Older brother Zwai Bala, at the age of 12, became the first and only Black student to join the Drakensberg Boys Choir. And that's still during Apartheid. His two younger brothers, Loyiso and Phelo, followed in his footsteps. They all went on to have successful music careers in South Africa, then came together to make the album called Bala Brothers. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
I want to talk about the song that we just heard in that very beginning called Something So Strong Inside. You said that you dedicated that song to Nelson Mandela. Why is that?
Because he was a man, I guess, that believed in something so strong. It's someone that had spent a lot of time, in separation, even while in prison. He was there was solitary confinement where he was just confined for many times. And I'm sure as a man, he must have felt like giving up at times, but this thing that was inside him just really kept him going for decades and decades. And that takes a lot of belief in yourself and in something that is just put on you as a calling, so to speak. So we thought this was very fitting, to dedicate it to him.
I want to read a little bit of the lyrics. It says, "The higher you build your barriers, the taller I become. The farther you take my rights away, the faster I will run." It's really a very positive message.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think in our instance as well, where we come from South Africa, from a history that where nothing was possible for any Black person, the whole system was made so that we do not have professionals. You don't have Black professionals, you don't have people that are going to grow and have professional jobs or really have stuff that's going to take them beyond building and manual labor and stuff that is needed just for the government, for them to help out the government. So, the more they do this, the more we wanted to grow. And for us, it wasn't just about success in South Africa. It was about going out to the world and really spread the African message.
I wonder what you knew about apartheid growing up, because your youth was spent during apartheid. What did you understand about the relationship between blacks and whites? Well,
we as Black South Africans, we knew quite a bit about what was going on, more than our white counterparts, so to speak, because the struggle was very much within us. We experienced it all the time, whereas what would come out on television, maybe people being killed, by cops, so to speak, it would be like, no, they were throwing stones or they were doing this and that, but we knew the truth. So even though the ANC was banned from the country, but the underground messages were coming to the people, and from the age of 10 or so, we knew exactly about what was going on. So it was quite. We had a lot of what I would call political education, you know, in our young days, and we knew that it was a system, and the best we can do is just to empower ourselves.
So let's talk about the how you grew up in your house. There was a lot of music in your house, obviously, and I know your parents, your grandparents are very musically inclined. What was it like, Loyiso?
It was great, you know. Our grandfather was a composer, and we,
what kind of music?
Grew up. It was choral music, so you know, choirs and so on and so forth. Kind of all, maybe you'd call it a cappella, because there were no instruments, you know, and for most instruments to play, you needed electricity, and we grew up without that. You know, the voice was obviously the main instrument, and so you know, he'd write his music on these small pieces of paper before he transcribes it to these massive pieces of paper. And after he'd done that, he'd call all of us into the room to come and sing different parts. So we learned how to read music at a very, very young age because of my grandfather. And the whole community, you know, for instance, most communities are made up of, you know, people do a lot of sport. What we did was a lot of singing. So in other words, a whole community sang. So you know, so music for us was not just a hobby. It was not just something that we did as entertainment. It was really just part of life. That's why, you know, you find so many. Most of our stories as well are also told through song. So that's why for us, you know, singing is not just about entertaining people, but it's about, you know, it's about spreading a message and a positive one. And we got that from when we were very young.
And your parents actually met through singing. So what's the story there?
Yes, they did. Our dad was actually, you know, like was a friend of my uncle's, who's my mother's, you know, my mother's brother, and so, you know, they used to sing together. They had a group, and obviously, you know, my mom sang with the family as well, and that's how they kind of got together. So, I mean, they were known as these singing nightingales, you know, the two of them. From that, I remember when I was about 3 years old, there was actually a group called the Bala family, which was my dad, my mom, Zwai, and then also our older sister. And I was sort of the curtain raised at the time. And because we could only sing in the community, so whenever anything special happened in the community, they knew that the Bala family was actually going to come and sing.
And Zwai, you won a nationwide competition as a young man.
Yes. Well, young man, 12-year-old.
And this is a competition just for Black South Africans?
No, it was actually
for everybody.
It was actually a competition that was set up to recruit new choristers into the Drakensberg Boys Choir. And entering that, they didn't. I mean, it was just a white school. So.
So
but how
why
they
did they let you?
No, they
didn't.
They didn't know I was black because you had to submit tapes.
Oh.
Audio tapes, and only found out later on the advanced stages of the competition. Oh, he's black, but it was like kind of like too late. And
because you won.
Yeah, and in fact, until I had to come up for the finals, which was in Johannesburg. We come from the Eastern Cape in South Africa. Until, you know, it was finals time, and they were like, okay, he's black, and you know, by excelling there, it meant that automatically I win a bursary to go to the school. And it was a big problem for some of the parents even.
But was it a policy in the school to not accept black kids?
It just wasn't there. It just
wasn't done.
I mean, public schools, it was not allowed. It was policy when it came to, by public, I mean government schools. Drakensberg Boys Choir was a private school, so I guess there was no set policy, but it was just a white school. So
you get in, and you're dropped off on your first day. What happens?
No, it was very interesting. Very interesting.
I bet you were scared, though.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what to expect, but boys wouldn't, you know, they wouldn't want to shower with me. They wouldn't want to stand next to me in the choir lines.
So it's a boarding school.
Yeah, it's a boarding school. Yeah, and it's Drakensberg is actually the Drakensberg Mountains. So it's out in the mountains, beautiful views indeed. So it's away from everything. So you just live there, you become a family basically. Funny enough, on my first day, there was a guy that was in the same competition as me. He's a dwarf, white dwarf guy, and we became best friends from that day, which was back in 1988. Many years ago, is that 27 years ago, and we're still best friends. He said to me, "Don't worry about it, they don't like you because you're black. No, you know what, people also treat me funny because I'm small." So that's how our friendship.
But was there any hostility towards you?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But I mean, there are those that were there as well, you know, who showed me support. I mean, I would feel there were times that were heavier than others. Like when we were on tour and, you know, the boys get hosted out to parents or people to look after the boys, because it didn't stay in hotels a lot of the time, especially when you go to those remote towns. And farm towns are synonymous with having Afrikaans people, and, you know, it's like your farmers. So some people would refuse to have me at their home.
Wow.
So, and we had to rest for the afternoon before the performance in the evenings, and I'd have to sleep in the bus kind of thing.
Wow.
Yeah, but then once I've sung, then everything changes.
And they're like, "Oh, he's okay.
Then
He's
everyone's
part
like,
of the group."
"Don't you like come and stay with us?" kind of thing.
He's
So
not like the others.
Exactly.
And did you find the parents also were opposed to you joining?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I knew that with exactly the parents, like they had a meeting the term before I joined the school. A lot of the parents were saying, "We will not have a black kid in the school," and our choir master, the musical, I mean, the head of music at the time said, "This boy is coming to the school whether you like it or not." And some parents actually took their kids out of the school.
Wow.
Because it looked like this thing is going to happen, you know.
Was it like that for you guys when you came? You came later.
Yeah, I came. You know, I came 2 years later. It was Zwai's third year at the school, and obviously, you know, things had changed. Things had changed quite a bit. But I must say, Zwai did protect me a lot, you know, at that time, and because, you know, he had now become you know, the soloist in the school. You see, if you like become the soloist, it's like, you know, you're the best sportsman in the school.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do.
In a normal school.
In a normal school. So you know, so I think, you know, for me, people expected a lot, and I think for the fact that I was able to deliver, so I didn't have to go through, you know, I didn't have to go through any of that at all. And it's funny because in just that short space of time, you know, things have changed drastically. And also, I wasn't the only black boy coming in. We were the second lot, but there were 5 of us coming in. So they were like, "Oh no, they have arrived." They have arrived.
And start a quartet.
But Phelo, what's the racial mix-up now of Drakensberg? Do you know?
Yeah, it's about a bit more than 50%. I got there like, I think 12 to 14 years after my other brother. Unlike my other brothers, I didn't know that I would become a singer. So my eldest brother always says, "Your voice is your biggest weapon." I came there unarmed. So, you know, I learned how to use my weapon, and when I was ready, I recorded a demo and I sent it to my brother. So it was kind of an audition for Bala Brothers.
Yeah. Zwai, how old were you when you were able to start making a living with your singing and actually supporting your family?
I was actually 13. It was my first year at the Drakensberg. Before I went to the school, I had been taking part in a lot of singing competitions and talent searches, so to speak. So one of the judges on the national singing competition the previous year was involved in a musical, a big stage, professional stage production, and they needed a child star in that musical. So she remembered there was this boy that came last year. So I started making good money from the age of 13.
That you were able to send home then to your family?
Yeah, in fact, my father passed away during my first term at the Drakensberg, and I was able to bury him from my first paycheck.
Wow.
Yeah, and then it just, obviously with his departure, then I had to look after the family from then until now.
So tell me, you know, obviously American audiences have never heard of Drakensberg. What's so special about that place?
They used to like comparing it to the Vienna Boys Choir in Austria. But
is that true, Loyiso?
No. You know, in 1992, we went on a tour to Poland, where all the top boys choirs were there. Because it was obviously a boys choir festival, they put all the top ones, the Vienna Boys Choir, the American Boys Choir, you know, like in the best venues, and we were singing in these small little ones. But after after 2 performances that we did, they couldn't fit any more people into the venues that they put us in. So at that time, we then had to go to the Czech Republic. When we returned, there was press. We were doing the biggest venues. We were dubbed the best boys choir in the world, and also, you know, like, and also our soloists, you know, were dubbed the best boy sopranos in the world. And this is even 2 years before the election, but there was definitely a change in South Africa at the time. So that meant a lot, you know, for a school that started to change things, you know, like at that time. So we were literally dubbed the best, I mean, like, you know, the best boys choir back then. And yeah, the boys don't sing as well now as they did when we were in the school.
Oh, really?
So they're probably second best now.
You're on camera, you realize that. Zwai, who is Bunny Ashley Bota?
He was the musical director at the time. In fact, we were fortunate enough to all have been trained by him.
And you dedicated the CD to him?
We dedicated that to his memory. He only passed away now in December. And when we actually recorded it, he called just before we went on stage, and we knew that he was really ill. And I was surprised that he actually is willing to talk. And he said, "I just want to wish you guys all the best." So that was the last time we heard him, like we spoke with him, and he passed away on the 6th of December last year. So we thought it was only fitting, because we believe really we are who we are today, mostly because of his teachings.
He recognized your talent.
Yeah.
Well, he's the one. He's the one who also spoke to the parents and said, "I don't care what you guys say, but this boy is gonna come into the school." And I even just remember being there thinking, why is this guy so hard on me, but not on all the other 100 boys that were there? That's because he believed in us a lot, and he needed us to succeed. And then, you know, years later, after we'd left, I think around 1999. Yeah, around then, like sort of the late 90s, he got a presidential award from the president, you know, for the work that he'd done.
So tell me, how do you think South Africa's doing now with respect to the relationship of the races? Phelo?
As a born free.
Well,
I give you the hardest questions since you're the youngest.
For us, the born frees were born into a very colorful South Africa. So for us, we don't necessarily know the experience as
you missed apartheid completely.
Firsthand. But right now, because we've got people that went through all of those experiences, they tell us about it. So therefore, people's legacies like Mandela, they live on because the people that continue to teach us about our country.
You guys met Nelson Mandela, didn't you?
Yeah.
Tell us about that experience.
The first time I got to meet him, you know, he was probably president for about 2 years. No, actually it was the year he was inaugurated as the president, and he came to the school because he heard that the Air Force was taking us up to the mountain. So they then did a whole sort of reception for him, and we performed right up there. Only to find out last year that he actually came because he heard about he'd heard about Zwai's story and also about our story, and he wanted to come and see it because nothing sort of passed by him. And I wondered why, actually, because when all the boys were standing there and it was very, very cold, why he spoke to me for like 10 minutes when everybody else's hand
what did
he just sort of touched. He asked, he asked what my clan name was. His clan name is Madiba.
Yeah.
That's where the name come from. So I told him what my clan name was, and he says, oh, that was Evelyn, which is his first wife's clan name. So I'm like, 12. I'm like, I don't know who Evelyn is. Carry on. And then he started to break down the history of where my family comes from and how the name got to be, And for me, what inspired me was the fact that I'm looking at this guy and thinking, this is what the president looks like now, and if he can achieve this, then anything is now possible for me. So, and I think he kind of knew that by him talking to me and just taking the time that he'd be inspiring me and giving me hope for the future.
Mm-hmm.
Our very first performance as Bala Brothers.
As a trio, okay.
We were invited by Archbishop Desmond Tutu to come and sing at his 75th birthday party. And when Madiba walked in there, it was like, you just feel his energy, throughout.
And it was a big room.
And it was a very big room. And that was for us an honor. It felt like, we're getting our blessing from the greatest man in the country.
You also played at his what was it, the 2013 concert
yes, the
commemorating
memorial.
his
Yeah.
life,
Yeah.
the memorial.
Yeah.
How was that?
That was my highlight, singing with the brothers. I'd never personally met the guy, maybe I've seen him, but I think at the concert his presence was really felt. I mean, at a time when our country was really coming together and united at the time. And we took them through a lot of emotions, like from making them cry to making them dance. I mean, that's what we do. We sing all kinds of songs.
And there's like 50,000 people there.
It's all right.
Plus or minus 100,000.
Yeah. I try to count that.
No, that's the kind of time where Mandela had that, we call it the Madiba magic, where he brings people together. We're pretty segregated, there's still a bit of racial issues here and there, but not spoken about. But when there's Madiba in it, everyone comes together. We saw it at the Rugby World Cup, and during his death or during the days of his mourning, everyone was together in the stadium. There was no color, it was just South Africans.
You know, you each had very successful careers individually. What made you come together to make this album and become Bala Brothers?
It was very simple and very quick and spontaneous, actually. We're busy. We released an album called The Bala Family with our mother and sister and a few of our cousins in 2005. And we're busy touring that. You know, we're doing one state in South Africa. And Phelo was still at school at the Drakensberg, and he was on holiday. So during one of the rehearsals, you know, I was playing the piano, and he started saying, "You raise me up so I can stand on mount." And then Loyiso came in, "You raise me," and it was like, and then I came in with a 10. It was like, "Ooh, that's nice."
You were like surprised. Wow, we sound good together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And got the goosebumps too on top of that.
And our family and the band, they were like, "Wow, that's great!" So we incorporated that into the show, just as a segment on the Bala Family show, and it just worked. And we just knew that this works, and it felt right. It felt complete with Phelo. We never thought that Phelo could sing or would ever be doing this one day.
You didn't think he could sing? What is that supposed to mean?
We didn't know.
I didn't even think he could sing.
Phelo used to talk a lot.
No,
And
you were the talker.
then never sang. Now he sings a lot, he doesn't say much.
And he's the star of the show. I mean, whenever we walk on, especially with the orchestra and so on, but the moment he walks on, it's like, "Oh my goodness, Phelo!"
And yet they've been in the industry for long.
Yeah.
Now we've had our admiration.
Yeah, I know he's a pop star. I know.
We just pick up the check now.
All right, so I want to ask each of you, what do you want to say to your American audience?
Those that know us already, we want to say thank you so much for opening your hearts and your ears and your, you know, and just your spirits to us. The American audience has been absolutely fantastic. And those that don't know about us, watch this space. We cannot wait for the rest of America to experience Bala Brothers.
Loyiso?
I want to just say that we're really excited to be here and to be getting a whole new audience out there. And if you truly like us, we've got some stuff on YouTube. We're planning to do a tour later on in the year, beginning of the year. And if you do, just spread the message, because nothing for us gives us as much joy as being on stage and just sharing our talents. What we do is not for status; it's for service.
I'm just really grateful. I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. Bala Brothers was built, around singing for audiences overseas, and to have this opportunity to be in the States is truly an honor. So,
well, thank you guys so much. The album is called Bala Brothers, and they're going to sing something to take us out of the segment. And this has been the Mimi Geerges Show. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll watch again next time.
And this is the much-loved Circle of Life from The Lion King. Nansi ngwenyama bakithi baba ngwenyama nansi ngwenyama bakithi babo ngwenyama ngwenyama
Ingonyama ingwena mabala, ingonyama ingwena mabala, ingonyama ingwena mabala, ingonyama ingwena mabala.
From the day we arrived on the planet and blinking step into the sun, there's more to see than can ever be seen, more to do than can ever be done.
There's far too much to take in here, not far can never be found. But the sun's rolling higher through the sapphire sky, keeps great and small on the endless night.
It's a circle of life, and it moves us all through despair and hope, through faith and love, till we find our place on the path unwinding in the circle of life. Ingonyama ingwe yololo, ingonyama ingwe na mabala, ingonyama ingwe yololo, ingonyama ingwe na mabala, 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 tonight, ingonyama ingwe na mabala, ingonyama ingwe na mabala, ingonyama ingwe na mabala, ingonyama ingwe na mabala, ingonyama ingwe na mabala. It's the circle of life, and it moves us all through despair and hope, through faith and love, till we find our place on the path unwinding in the circle of life, in the circle of life, circle of life.
I am the place where humanity and industry collide, and energy and optimism abound. I am South Africa. I am the biggest economy in Africa, and I encourage innovation and make it easy to do business and get things done. My spirit is restless and my resolve is clear, determined to break through the stereotypes and conquer the forces of doubt. I am South Africa, and I am inspiring new ways.